Dance has forever been a way in which people express their emotions. The emergence of dance in China can be traced back to primitive times with rock carvings and paintings on pottery depicting images of people jumping in jubilation. Indeed, this was an overstated body language of our forefathers, which expressed feelings of triumph over a successful hunting expedition or of pride and victory in the battlefield. This is dance in its simplest form. As we advanced, dance almost inevitably became a popular art form. This jade ornament, conserved in Jiangsu Province's Yangzhou Museum, comes from the Western Han Dynasty. We see a dancer carved into the jade, wearing long sleeves that float carelessly around the lithe and graceful poses achieved by the dancer's body. These 4 jade dancers, unearthed in the Shandong Province in 1958, were carved during the Han Dynasty. The consummate technique clearly brings out the movement in the dancers' movements and their effect on their long sleeves in a strikingly lifelike fashion. Han Dynasty dancer figurines are presented in mid-movement, performing all sorts of dance moves which were sculpted on the spot. Some of these figurines make tasteful use of color, while others retain the gray color of the original clay without any further adornment. Each dancer is brimming with vigor and emotion. The male dancers are depicted in all sorts of poses, some of them verging on the humorous and amusing. Female dancers, on the other hand, almost uniformly exude tenderness and love. After the Han Dynasty, China saw a process of amalgamation of its different nationalities. These colored figurines from the northern Qi Dynasty, unearthed in Xi County, Hebei Province, depict dancers that possesses the classical appeal of the ethnic minorities of the area. We are thus represented with the lissom dance moves of these peoples, who wear characteristically northern long gowns with wide sleeves. The Dunhuang Grotto's famous wall paintings of flying asperas perfectly blend the elegance of its dancers with the mystical qualities of paradise. This particular wall painting at Grotto number 249, entitled Performing of the Heavens, or this other, number 285, or the Phalian Aspara, all depict the graceful and elegant dance of its subject, who hover high in the heavenly clouds. During the 1970s, this magnificent flask was unearthed in Anyang, Henan Province. On its yellow glaze of both its sides, we find a dancer wearing a pointed hat, wearing a turned-down collared shirt, an overall appearance that betrays a northern ethnic minority. The dancer's head is turned, while his arms rock, his hip twists, and his knees rise in a writhing dance step that flows continually in striking harmony. To his right side, we see 2 musicians standing playing accompanying music on a transverse flute and song. After a careful process of verification, the dancer movements were found to match those of a dance of the western regions called the Hutang dance, or Leap of the Barbarian. This dance made it from the west into the central plains and was popular throughout the northern and Tang dynasties. On the eastern suburbs of Xi'an City lays an ancient tomb from the Tang dynasty containing a complex of wall paintings, one of which depicts a dancer upon a rug gracefully performing the very Hutang dance we see on the yellow glazed porcelain flask. The flask, unearthed in the Central Plains, does not only record the charm of the Hutang dance, but is made even more invaluable by its nature as evidence of a rich cultural exchange between East and West along the Silk Road. In our next episode, we will continue to explore Chinese cultural treasures that bear witness to the rich dancing tradition present in our history. Join us in this dance across our cultural history. In our previous episode, we explored how several ancient Chinese cultural relics attest to a long history of dance in China. Join us on today's dance floor where we will continue to explore the magnificent world of ancient Chinese dance. In 1959, 192 cultural relics were unearthed from a Sui dynasty tomb in Anyang, Hunan province. Among them, 95 figurines in clay, porcelain, and other materials. Two particular sets of colored clay figurines were particularly special. One of them consisted of 8 figurines, each between 17 and 19 centimeters tall. They had been modeled alike, with small details differentiating them. Their hair was all worn in a coil, while their attire consisted in a long skirt with scarf tied around the chest. They sit each holding a different musical instrument, clearly constituting a musical troupe. The second set is seen wearing long sleeves and long skirts with small, unlined garment draping their shoulders. Both sleeves float freely with the movement of their dance. When both sets are assembled together, it becomes clear they complement each other in a depiction of a song and dance troupe. The clay performance depictions are known as Zhaobuji, some dating as far back as the Zhou dynasty has been found. The performers are arranged inside a hall belonging to one of high or noble status. Indeed, these small-scale indoor performances are one of the many kinds of ancient entertainment provided during sumptuous banquets. Their popularity gradually grew until peaking during the Sui and Tang dynasties, when such performances would be a common sight in imperial banquets or rallies. The figurines of Zhaobuji number anywhere from 3 to 12. The musicians providing accompaniment play gracefully and with gusto. They are indeed ancient Chinese song and dance troupe. During the high artistic period of the 8th century Tang dynasty, the art of dance entered a golden age. Emperor Tang Xuanzong adapted some of the musical scores coming from the western regions, as well as requesting imperial musicians to consult them in their own composition. The product of this fusion of musical influence was the Song of Rainbow Skirts and Feather Robes, which gained instant popularity. Furthermore, the emperor asked his favorite concubine, Yang Yu Huan, to create and perform to the sound of this composition. In the grotto number 112 of the Dunhuang grottos is a wall painting, on which work was begun during the Tang dynasty. A beautiful deity is depicted at the very center of the painting, standing on one foot while holding a pipa lute behind her back, seemingly playing it upside down while she dances. This is the famous image of the inverted pipa player from the Dunhuang grottos. On the painting, we see the performing deity's body extend itself in a dance move whose harmony of movement, monumental musical technique, ingenious and beautiful poses are all assembled in this dancer's spellbinding depiction. During the most affluent period of the Tang dynasty, artists from all over the world came to China. Korean, Indian, and even Central Asian dancers all came together in the Tang court for a period of time. The art of dance during the Tang dynasty times amalgamated the quintessence of this art form from several different nationalities. Some dances would display unconstrained boldness, while others were smooth, courteous, and reserved. After the Tang dynasty, this process of cultural assimilation between different cultures continued. The graceful and restrained dances from the Song dynasty gave way to the carefree movements from the Mongolian Yuan dynasty, and then to the meticulous elegance of the Qing dynasty choreographies. Each of them has left an indelible mark in our cultural and artistic heritage, which has allowed the transmission of their dreamlike moves to contemporary Chinese.